Okay, now let's look at this, the door that's going to go on top, or the lid, whatever you want to call it. The thickness of this board, these four boards right here, should be about 3/4 or 13/16. Don't let it get too thin on you, and make sure they're all the same thicknesses. And then you're going to cut them to width, so whatever the width you choose. So for a box like this, I chose this entire width to be 1 3/4. So from here to here is 1 3/4, right to the edge is 1 3/4. So if I look at it from a different way, this part right here is 1 3/4 from the very edge here to the very edge here. So we're going to call this part the stile, and then we're going to call this part the rail. And just kind of like we have in other projects, the stile is the longer one, the rail is the one that fits in between. So what we have to look and study is this this tongue and groove here. So you kind of see how this piece fits in together. So the rails are really easy to measure. I'm sorry, the stiles are really easy to measure because the length of the stile is whatever the length of the box is. So you'll notice my stile right here goes all the way across the box. So whatever this measurement is of this board is the measurement of the stile. So now what I have to do is figure out the measurement of the rail. So you'll notice the rail has to fit in these grooves right here on both sides. So probably the best way to figure this out is to determine the size of this. So you want to figure out the width of this right here. So that would be the part in question. And whatever this width is, you're going to have to subtract that twice from the whole, measurement of this side of the box. So from whatever this measurement is right here, you're going to subtract this measurement 2 times, because you have it here and then you have it here, and that will give you the length of the rail. So don't overcomplicate this. This is actually pretty easy. Whatever this measurement is here, you just subtract this measurement from here to here 2 times, and that will give you the measurement of this rail. So the measurement that this fits in from here to here is just under 1/2 inch. It's about 7/16. So that's what's going to fit in here, that measurement. So then my rail needs to fit in here like so, and this will kind of all come together. So I can be doing this while the box is drying. I can work on making the rails. And then when it's time, I'm going to put some glue in here and just glue that together. So let me show you how to glue up the rails. And I'm going to use these same clamps because I'm trying to do a demo here, and they're just available. So when I glue up this rail, I'm going to put a little glue. I try to keep the glue on the back part of the joint, and then I'm going to put a little more on this side. If you get glue all over like I am, it's not a bad idea to wash it off with a damp paper towel while it's still drying. So then I'm going to take my other rail, do the same thing with it. Now I've seen kids flip these, so they'll take this rail and completely flip it over, and then the next day they're going to have to restart because there's no way this is going to hold your glass. If you want a wood panel in this, now would be the time to put the wood panel in before you glue it together. So I just kind of set these down. I'm going to move my clamps in a little on both of these, and then I can clamp it together, and then it'll give me room to measure. So to make sure this went well for me, I'm going to measure corner to corner. So I measure from here to here and here to here, and that measurement should be the same, and that would tell me that that worked out. If I have any glue in here, it would be extra important to kind of wipe that off now before I glue that together. And any other glue right now would be a bad time to wipe some of that up. So that is my lid. Another thing you want to check is make sure it's flat on the clamps. So right here I might be lifting off just a tiny bit. So I'm going to loosen that clamp and just squeeze it down. Because if you have a big gap in your clamps, your door is going to glue up crooked. So let's say I have a gap like this. My door is going to glue up lopsided, and it's going to be a bummer for me. So now I have my door gluing up, and I have to show you how to put these grooves in though. That's the one thing I haven't showed you. I just showed you how to measure everything out. So when you're cutting a board this small, remember on the miter box you're going to need to use a clamp because that's under our 12-inch rule. So I don't want to see you cutting these small boards on the miter saw. Okay, here we are at the door machine. So I'm trying to show you how to make the grooves in here to make this tongue and groove. So I'm kind of backtracking just a little bit because I showed you how to measure and then glue it out. But now I have to show you how to make the groove. So here's our door machine. It's a really safe machine overall. Pretty loud. But the cutters, there's 3 moving cutters at once. So it's really important that even though we're just using this cutter, we don't set something, or we just got to be aware that these cutters are moving at the same time. So when you turn it on, 3 things turn on at the same time. The cutter is concealed very well. It's way down here, but I think you could still get your hand in here. So we always use a push stick. So for this machine, we're going to always use a push stick. So all 4 of these boards need to go through this side. And it says right here stiles and rails, and it says good face going this way. So I look at my board, find the best face, and I'm going to put it this way, and then I'm just going to run this through this machine. So essentially all 4 of these boards could still be connected. That would be the way to go, because if I start cutting them out and then suddenly they're really short, I shouldn't be running any boards through this side of it if it's under 12 inches long. So I'm basically going to keep them all together on one piece. Now this board should be really smooth on both edges. Both edges should be parallel. If you're a middle school student, I'll probably help you cut this parallel on the table saw. So I'm going to set this down, and then I'm going to, the cord is kind of weird. I'm going to just set this off to the side. The power button's right here. And I'm going to run this through using my push stick and just kind of demonstrate how this should go. Inspect this groove. If this groove has any bad spots on it, I need to run it through again. So if I look over here, it's not cutting quite as deep right here, but if there's any bumps where I kind of pulled the board up a little, I would need to run this through, because that groove should be really nice all the way down. So I can look down and see. I did a pretty good job, except for right here at the end. It might be off just a little bit. But to run it through again, I have to make sure I don't flip it over. So I'm going to put it up here. Make sure my good face is going this way, and then I just run it through again. If I flip the board over so my good face is going this way, and I run it through, I'm going to be in trouble. So now I can take this board, and I can cut these pieces out of this now. So I should be able to cut my 4 pieces out of it, and they're not going to fit together yet because we have to run the ends. So we have to run this end part. Now, for your first project, I would like to run these ends for you and show you how to do that one-on-one. So I'm not even going to put it on the video because I really don't want you to do that without me. But I'm going to take this machine, the same machine, so if I'm by this machine, you can call me over to this machine. I'm going to help you run the ends so the tongue and grooves fit together. And but you could take this board now after you've run it through this first cutter and cut it to the 4 lengths that you need. And then call me over to run your shortest rails. So you'll hand me your rails. You don't hand me your stiles because we don't need to put the grooves on the end. And you can watch me run the ends of the stiles. And if you're doing, or the ends of the rails, and if we're doing several of these, I'll have you help me do some as well.